The world's largest plane, the Antonov AN-225, was reduced to ashes when Russian missiles struck Hostomel Airport. For many, that was the end of a legend, a six-engine giant that could never be replaced. But now, against all odds, Ukraine has revealed a shocking plan to rebuild the impossible. This is not just about an airplane. It is about national pride, global symbolism, and billions in hidden engineering challenges. How do you bring back a machine the world thought was gone forever? And why is Ukraine so determined to resurrect a giant that once defied physics itself? The AN-225 was not just a plane. It was a symbol of Soviet ambition at the height of the Cold War. Designed to carry the Buran space shuttle, it dwarfed every other aircraft. With a wingspan of 88 meters and a maximum takeoff weight of over 600 tons, it shattered records that still stand today. Ukraine nicknamed the AN-225 the Mriya, translated the dream. Only one AN-225 was ever completed. A second airframe remained unfinished, sitting in storage for decades. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the giant lost its original mission. The space program ended abruptly and the budget disappeared. There was simply no money left to complete the second aircraft, but Ukraine kept the only AN-225 alive, with flying heavy cargo missions that no other aircraft could handle. The AN-225 carried wind turbines, locomotives, even humanitarian aid after disasters. Every flight became global news. And then came February, then 2022. Russian troops stormed Hostomel Airport near Kiev. The AN-225 was caught on the ground, under repair. In the chaos, missiles and artillery destroyed the aircraft. Flames consumed the giant. For aviation fans worldwide, it was a moment of heartbreak. Was it really the end? Months later, whispers began. Engineers hinted at blueprints. Politicians spoke of funding. Could Ukraine actually rebuild the impossible? The story of the AN-225 was not finished. It was only beginning its most dramatic chapter. Just weeks ago, Antonov Airlines made an announcement that electrified aviation fans worldwide. In late 2022, Antonov confirmed that work had begun to resurrect the giant. Using the surviving parts of the destroyed aircraft, combined with components from the unfinished airframe, they announced a bold plan. The AN-225 would rise again. They revealed that nearly 30% of the rebuild process is already complete. Hidden behind guarded hangars, engineers have been quietly advancing piece by piece, turning wreckage into structure. What many assumed was still just talk has now become reality on the shop floor. The cost? Estimates range from $500 million to over $1 billion. Critics said it was impossible in wartime. Ukraine argued it was essential. The AN-225 would not only serve as a cargo aircraft, it would become a symbol of resilience, proof that Ukraine could rebuild from ashes stronger than before. Behind closed doors, engineers began cataloging wreckage. What could be saved? What was beyond repair? From landing gear to wing panels, every piece was inspected, and in warehouses across Kyiv, the unfinished second airframe was dusted off. For the first time in decades, its silent skeleton promised a future. Adding to the mystery is the secrecy of the project. The exact location of the rebuild remains undisclosed. Journalists who try to investigate are given only glimpses, never the full picture. The secrecy is partly security. Russia would target any known site, but it also creates a sense of suspense. Somewhere in Ukraine, under heavy guard, a legend is being reborn. Many of the AN-225's original components are frozen in time. They were designed in the 1980s, built in Soviet factories that no longer exist, and many have not been produced for decades. When engineers open crates of old parts, they often find relics that cannot be used again. This means redesigning everything with modern materials and techniques, in some cases reinventing entire mechanical systems from scratch. This is why the rebuild is not a restoration. It is a reinvention. What is happening behind guarded hangar doors looks less like repair work and more like the birth of a new aircraft. Engineers are turning to advanced computer simulations and brutal structural tests, each one pushing the boundaries of what this giant can become. And modernization does not stop with replacement. It demands transformation. Analog gauges are being ripped out and replaced with glass cockpit avionics. Discussions are underway about installing more efficient engines, possibly even from Western manufacturers like Rolls-Royce or General Electric. The structure itself must be reinforced, not only to carry impossible weights, but also to meet airworthiness regulations that never existed when the dream was first born. It is a dangerous balancing act. Every modification risks changing the giant's soul. Every upgrade might shift the way it flies, the way it feels, the way it dominates the sky. Yet at the same time, each step forward is a chance to make the AN-225 stronger, smarter, and more unstoppable than ever. The question is no longer whether Ukraine can rebuild the dream. The real question is how far they are willing to push it, and what kind of monster might emerge once the transformation is complete. But here's the twist. This is bigger than aviation. The AN-225 is no longer just a cargo plane. It has become a political weapon, a symbol of survival. Every rivet, every weld, every rebuilt panel tells Moscow, Ukraine cannot be destroyed. That is why this project shocks not only engineers, but world leaders too. For ordinary Ukrainians, the AN-225 is family. To see Mriya, the dream, destroyed was to feel a part of the nation crushed. To see it rise again means hope. For the global aviation community, its rebirth is like witnessing the return of a lost wonder. International partners are watching closely, and some are already lending a hand and have offered support. International donors, aerospace firms, even governments have expressed interest. German aerospace experts have been rumored to provide technical advice, offering modern tools and methods that Antonov lacked. New composite materials, digital design techniques, and European certification experience could cut years from the timeline. Each contribution makes the project more than Ukrainian. It becomes an opportunity for international cooperation, a coalition of pride against destruction. For Ukraine, these partnerships are vital. They transform the project from a lonely national dream into an international effort with shared goals. The symbolism reaches beyond aviation. In every rebuilt panel lies the message: if we can rebuild the largest plane in the world, we can rebuild our nation. Still, challenges loom. The cost is staggering. Ukraine is at war. Resources are strained. Critics ask, why spend $1 billion on a giant aircraft when schools, hospitals, and power plants lie in ruins? The answer is complex. Rebuilding the AN-225 is not just about logistics. It is about identity, morale, and symbolism in a time of darkness. The uncertainty still haunts every day of work. Engineers admit that progress could accelerate if the war ended. Supply chains would reopen. Factories could shift back to full production. But until then, every advance is shadowed by risk. Each night brings air raids. Each month brings shortages. The project lives in a fragile balance between unstoppable hope and unshakable danger. And there are technical risks. Some parts may be impossible to reproduce. Modern certification could delay the project for years. Skeptics predict failure, but Antonov engineers insist the dream will fly again. Imagine the moment. Sirens fade, hangar doors open, and a reborn AN-225 rolls into daylight. Cameras flash, crowds cheer. The impossible stands tall once again. If that image becomes reality, it will not just shock aviation, it will shock history itself. So will it happen? The timeline is uncertain. The cost is heavy. The risks are real, but the determination is undeniable. Ukraine has chosen to rebuild not only an aircraft, but a dream that was supposed to die in fire, yet may rise into the sky again. The AN-225 is not just a plane, it is defiance in metal and wings. And if it flies again, it will carry more than cargo. It will carry a nation's message to the world. Dreams cannot be destroyed.